Hey there, it's your host, Mara Glatzel, and you are listening to Even Here, Even Now, a podcast where we are devoted to sharing frank conversations and true stories about what it means to stay by your own side and meet your needs consistently, messily, and sustainably. Now, on to today's show. You cannot ask for what you don't understand, and you will not get what you don't ask for. This is the hard truth about getting our needs met. So many of us get stuck, and we're taught this in so many different ways, right? To outsource our needs, to work really hard to earn our way to our needs, to show other people how we want to be treated by treating them that way and hoping that they're going to reciprocate in kind. All in an effort to get our needs met without actually having to know what we need or know how to ask for it. And in my experience, having done this work for a long time, in my experience, it is rare that our needs just come to us on a silver platter. Sometimes we are in relationship with people who are highly attuned, and this happens. Sometimes we are in relationship with people who have a great understanding of their own needs, but I want to say that this is the exception, not the rule. And there are so many reasons for that, namely that we don't have role models for being in relationship with ourselves in this way. We don't have role models who are providing us with the vocabulary of our needs during our upbringing or modeling for us what it looks like to center and prioritize our needs on a daily basis. And so what happens? We grow up and we have all of these needs that we don't know what to do with, and we just shove them in a closet somewhere because today is not the day. Am I right? Today is not the day. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe when it somehow becomes easier. And I'm going to hold your hand while I tell you this. The only way that we start opening that closet door and bringing things out is to do it imperfectly, messily, and hopefully in good company with other humans who are doing the same. This is one of the primary reasons that I started this podcast, because for so many years I heard from my clients that I was the only person in their life who was talking about needs. I was the only person in their life who was talking about my needs in their company. And that simply by hearing me do that and hearing me talk about my needs with other people here on the podcast, it healed something in them. It unlocked something in them. It gave them language for something that they had never had language for before. So many of us are adults who are walking around the world needy, super needy, because our needs haven't been met for a long time, if ever. And we have this feeling, it's like the burnout feeling, right? We don't want people to see us as needy. So we're going to cover that up. That is a part of us that stands between us and the love and the belonging and the success that we ache for. So better put that in a closet for another day. But if we want full and vibrant lives, if we want lives that are just soaked with joy and whimsy and fun and care and good food and sustenance and inspiration and nourishment, we have got to figure out what we specifically need. And this is also the reason why prescriptive self-care keeps failing us. Other people's solutions miss 100% of the time by design because they are designed for other people. There is no listicle that you can find on the internet that you can just check off all of the boxes and to feel well nourished. And furthermore, the industry actually benefits from you aching, yearning, needing, and buying, right? Maybe this will be the thing. This product, this thing, this tool, this routine. If only I can force myself into that mold and make it be enough, then I'll feel better. And the ache doesn't want more information. You're a human being. You're not a robot. You live in a human body. This vital, gorgeous, glorious, multifaceted ecosystem does not want to be managed. It wants to be tended, You want to be seen and known and specifically tended to. And you can be first and foremost in your relationship with yourself, but also as you start to learn about your needs, you are better equipped to advocate for your needs within your relationships, at the workplace, on the just wherever it is, in a restaurant, wherever it is that you are in the world. The more information that you have about yourself in practice, in process, the more data points you are going to have to effectively advocate for yourself. And again, this is not something that you can just read a perfect book about or, just know about somehow magically by listening to enough podcasts like this. Like we have to be able to practice it. But the practice starts with this, right? Having a working understanding of what are your needs, what are your wants, what's going on here, and how can you start in a way that feels genuinely doable so that you might actually do it. So let's talk needs and wants. Now, when clients come to me, they often say, like, what I'm litigating for myself. What's a need and what's a want? Because I only have a scrap of energy to throw at this thing being my wild and raucous, tender ecosystem of a being. I only have a scrap of energy to throw at this thing. And so I want to know, I want to put it into a hierarchy. What is a need? Because a need is a requirement for living well. And a want, a desire, a yearning, the how of the living well. And so the first thing that I do is I say, like, we're not going to put this into a hierarchy. I want you to think about it instead horizontally, right? As two buckets. The need is the what and the want is the how. So let's say you have a need for inspiration or you have a need, say you're hungry. Let's use a really basic example. You are hungry. You have a need for breakfast. What actually meets that need in a satisfying, enriching, like soul enlivening way? It's just breakfast, but my soul has been enlivened by breakfast, and I'm sure that yours might be too if given the opportunity. Is what we want, is what we desire. So let's say the need, the bucket, that the what is breakfast, and the want is how I want that need met. My preferred strategy for getting that need met. Each need has hundreds of doors. This is why it is important to map this specifically onto your own personal preferences, your own personal desires, your own personal wants, because that's when we get into the realm of like really like delicious, good feelings, satisfying experiences. So if what I need is breakfast and the many doors available for me, the many strategies for meeting that need, it's like oatmeal, scrambled eggs, waffle with blueberries and maple syrup. Or maybe it's even like eggs, but eggs with feta and scallions versus just like regular eggs. So the want is vitally important for you to experience a delicious and satisfying resolution to your need for breakfast. But let's take a more complicated example. I want to feel considered by somebody I'm in relationship with. Now, again, so many flavors that could take, so many doors that you could go through to get that need met. And each of us are going to have a different experience, though there may be similarities on how we want that need met. For me in particular, what makes me feel considered is that they remember the things that I've said, like specific things that I've said, and that they're following through with what they say that they're going to do, and they're doing it consistently. Those are my two most beloved strategies for meeting my need of feeling considered and cared for in my relationships. Now, somebody else might want their partner to take care of the bills or to do the grocery shopping or to clean up the house. I don't really care about those things. I'm happy to do all of those things. I might even be joyful to do those things. But what is really important to me is like, hey, I said a thing to you and you remembered it. Or, hey, you said you were going to do something for me and you followed it through to conclusion without me having to remind you or ask for that need to be met over and over again. When your preferred strategy isn't available, this is where it's important to know there's not just one way to get that need met. Say I really want those scrambled eggs with feta and scallions, but I have mushrooms and goat cheese. All right, good enough, good enough. My preferred strategy isn't available, but there's a good enough option. Now, when I work with my clients, I always have them think about the need, the what, the bucket, the want, the how they want to get that need met, their personal set of preferences and desires, their preferred strategies for getting that need met. But I also like them to think about it, their preferred strategies, in terms of what they can get from somebody else and what they can offer themselves. Because as I've said several times over the last couple of weeks, burnout is in the room with us. And this means that it can be difficult to depend on the people in our lives, even the most dependable people, right? My experience with the last couple of years is that many of us are humaning first and relationing second, which means I'm like in survival mode and I'm focused on myself, and I might be less available, even if I love somebody, to help them, to join them in meeting their needs. So when you think about your preferred strategies for your needs, you're thinking about like what is available. You're being curious, you're being creative, and you're thinking about what is available. What might I want to ask somebody else for? How might I be able to meet that need myself? And here's where my clients always come in and they say like, but Mara, I want a thing, I need a thing, and they won't give it to me, so I can't have what I need. And this often comes in by way of talking about the need for sex or physical intimacy. Sometimes it comes in around romance or romantic gestures or feeling as if you are cherished by the person you're in relationship with. And I think it is such a beautiful practice to be curious and creative about, okay, like my preferred strategy, having sex with you, isn't available to me right now. What else is available? Could I do some self-massage? Could I masturbate? Could I meet that need for touch in another way that is appealing to me? For something that's like a more broad scale kind of like romance or love or feeling cherished by somebody else, what does it look like to treat yourself that way? Whenever I have somebody on my digital doorstep who says to me, I can't have what I need because they won't give it to me, I'm always leaning in. Because there are so many facets of our lives where we presume we cannot have what we want and need unless we convince said person to give it to us or convince said person that we are worthy of receiving it. And this, again, in my experience, mostly doesn't work. Almost never works. And the reason being is it doesn't feel satisfying to get that need met if you have to convince somebody in order to receive it. If you have to prove your worth in order to earn it. All that teaches you is I have to convince somebody else or prove my worth in order to get my needs met, which is not, in fact, the case. You can get your needs met. There are a multitude of ways for you to get your needs met all of the time. And so I really want to put forward to you what would it be like to hold your needs loosely. To hold your needs loosely. A need is something you require in order to be well. A want is something you desire in order to be well. Both are vitally, vitally important to you. And, I really want to caution you against making this unnecessarily complicated. People are like, well, is this a need? And is that a need? And what about this? And what about that? I think I want this, but what about that? We are litigators. Me and my beloved crew of humans. If you are a litigator, welcome, you are in good company. In order to protect ourselves from the potential reality that our needs aren't going to get met, we have learned as a coping mechanism to get caught up in do I really need it? Is it really a need? Or is it a want? Or, right? So they want lists of what are the appropriate and available needs. And I do provide those in my work because I think it can be useful to understand like what's even on the table to need. We all need a lot of things, and that's really, really okay. But when you're starting to get curious about this for yourself, especially if you're at a starting point, I really recommend a practice of micro attunement, which is pausing. I talked about the daily check-in a few episodes ago. Pausing and checking in with yourself. What do I need right now? It doesn't have to be complicated. A glass of water. Maybe I want some fruit in it. Some electrolytes to slow down, to opt out of that thing I said yes to, right? It doesn't, you don't have to know what is the, what's the perfect umbrella that need fits under. Like, is it a need for love? Is it a need for celebration? Is it a need for growth? Is it a need for sustenance, safety, belonging? You don't need to know that. To know that what you need is vitally important to your satisfaction, to your joy, to your sustenance and nourishment. Your needs are not something you can afford to stuff in the closet any longer. Your needs are the doorways home to your most vital, fully expressed, joyful, cup running over, nourished self. You cannot get to where you want to go without becoming familiarly acquainted with your needs. And what is so beautiful about that is that it is available. It is something you can learn. And quite frankly, for many of us, it's a transferable skill because many of us are intimately familiar with figuring out what other people need. And guess what? When other people need it, do we find ourselves litigating it? Do we find ourselves second guessing it or diminishing it or, putting it on ice? Usually not. Usually that person's need becomes the priority. And so I mention this because you already know how to do it. I know that you already know how to do it. What you don't know how to do or aren't practiced in or were never given permission to do before is to turn that superpower on yourself. The garden blooms under attention, right? Plants flourish under attention. And so too do you. By paying attention to yourself, by tuning in, by these moments of micro-attunements, how am I really? What do I need right now? What is doable for me? What's possible? Maybe I need 30 things, but I only have the energy for one. All right, that's a starting point. Let's start with that. The glass of water, a snack, Diet Coke. I don't know. What do you need? But you are like a garden, tender earth. And it is important that you stop exploiting and extracting your tender earth in order to be of service to the world around you, because that makes all of your efforts, all of the things you care about, unsustainable. All roads through you, babe. We all must learn how to turn towards ourselves if we want to live our most radiantly alive lives as our most radiantly alive selves, which I, for one, am extremely invested in. Mostly because I know how much better my life is now that I have turned towards this. I never thought, as when I was growing up, as a perfectionist, control freak, oldest daughter who was like a really tight, white-knuckled grasp on who everyone wanted me to be, what everyone needed of me, what was right and good, what earned me the most belonging, the most external validation, the most success, right? I was an expert at all of that. What I didn't know how to do, because I had never, quite frankly, taken the time or experienced any role modeling to this end, was to learn that I mattered in my own life. That actually the life that I was working my way to so ferociously was always going to be out of reach if the pattern I was stuck in was putting my needs, putting my care, putting my life on the other side of this benchmark, that benchmark, always something to put your care on the other side of. And my life did not start to, I don't want to say bloom, to even sprout until I was willing to peer into the pain of believing if I was good enough, if I was deserving of my needs, surely they would have been met already. I was carrying this belief of there must be something wrong with me because my needs aren't getting met. My needs haven't been met before. There must be something wrong with me. But there's nothing wrong with you. It's that most people aren't thinking about us the way we are thinking about them. And most people are busy just kind of navigating their lives. And we might think like, oh, they're withholding from me because of something about my worth. And they're thinking about a sandwich. We have routed our needs through them, and they did not even know that that was something that we were doing. And so if we want to reclaim this for ourselves, we do need a base of information. I've given you some here. I hope that you will join me. I am going to be teaching some of this during WET, the last weekend in August. I'm certainly going to be teaching all of this during my 12-week course, Tend, which doors open for in September, and we kick off at the end of the month of September, spending the whole fall season together. That's something you can learn. And I am well equipped over many, many years, wrote a whole book on the topic, well equipped to teach you those skills. But the thing that I think is the make it or break it piece, and this is the reason why I run these group coaching excursions so that we can do it all together alongside one another, because the piece is going from insight and awareness to practice. And many of us don't want to do that because it's uncomfortable, because we haven't done it before, because we don't want to be caught in the act of doing something new. We want to be seen as competent. We don't want to be rifling around in that closet where we haven't spent any time, and we may encounter something that we don't really want to encounter, or we may encounter needs that we find embarrassing, or we may encounter needs that aren't as pretty as the needs I see on Instagram, and so there must be something wrong with me and my needs. Not the case. Not the case. But we don't want to be doing something that we don't know how to do. And so it's vitally important that we can start to practice this, to really put it into practice in good company. But you can do that right now in your relationship with yourself. You can decide that you are going to practice asking yourself what you need once a day and seeing what comes forward. And here's the deal. You don't have to do the thing. For so many of us, this is another stop. Is that we have associated knowing a thing with doing a thing. So if I ask myself what I need, and then I'm going to have to do it, right? So I'm not going to know a thing, because I have to do a thing. I really want to encourage you to divorce the knowing and the doing. Giving yourself permission to know for as long as you need to know. Familiarize yourself with your inner landscape, with your needs. Familiarize yourself with your preferences. You don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to have an awkward conversation with anyone to start saying, do I want this mug or this mug? Do I like cinnamon toothpaste or mint toothpaste? Do I want eggs with feta and scallions or mushrooms and goat cheese? These may seem frivolous, but every single time we turn towards ourselves when we are making a micro decision, we are gathering data about what we need and want. And the more data that we have about what we need and want, the more awareness that we have, the more confident and comfortable we are going to be in asking ourselves and ultimately asking other people. This data piece is the part that gets us out of the limbo, the purgatory of constant litigation, and into the felt experience of, wow, I asked, I heard, I did the thing, however meagerly or messily, and it felt good. And also I learned a thing. Like maybe I thought I wanted it just like this, and actually I wanted a little bit like that. And next time I'm going to do it just a touch better, in just a touch more aligned way. And I'm going to end with this. You can do this. Not only can you do this, but it is going to make your life so much better, so much more fun, so much more satisfying, so much more joyful and playful. Even if you have heavy things on your plate, you're in a grief portal, you're stressed out about the news, about the politics, about your bank account, all of these super real world concerns. By knowing what you want and need, you are able to shepherd and steward your way through hardship with kindness and care in a way that you never have been able to before. And this has to do with getting out of burnout, absolutely, but it also has to do with the very way that you live your life. And I remember for myself, this was like a permanent afterthought. Forever and a day. And once I started to get genuinely curious, once I started to turn towards myself and develop the skills and the muscle of being in right relationship with myself, everything shifted. And it starts with, you think it's going to start with like a big moment or a big grand plan. It is not. It is going to start with your favorite mug. It is going to start with, I don't want this, I want that. It is going to start with, actually, I'm sorry, I ordered X thing, but you brought me Y. Would it be okay to send this back? Could you redo it? Right? All of these small moments of standing behind your needs and your wants strengthen that muscle and build your confidence so that you can show up in every facet of your life and have your own back and stay by your own side no matter what. And for me, that's the goal. And if that's the goal for you, you're in the right spot. We're going to keep talking about this next week. Thanks for listening to Even Here, Even Now with Mara Glatzel. If you want my support in learning to stay by your own side and nourish your needs, dance on over to maraglatzel.com/quiz to take my quiz to figure out what you need right now and receive my best tools for how to meet those needs with a greater sense of ease and confidence. If you love today's show, please leave us a rating or review wherever you subscribe to this podcast. It helps more than you know. And as always, permission loves company. If there's a human in your life that you think can benefit from this conversation, I would be so grateful if you shared it with them. Thank you. See you next time.